Hello everyone, my name is Wesley Walker, and in today's video I'm going to walk you through how I became a data analytics manager. But first of all, before we start, if this is your first time here and you appreciate data and analytics content, be sure to drop a like down below, subscribe and hit that notifications bell so that you don't miss any of my future data analytics videos. So how I started my career in analytics was at a FTSE 100 company in the UK called TUI, and I began my career there as a senior digital analyst in 2018. And I started there in the CRO function, which was the conversion rate optimization area, and I was assigned to a brand new Scrum team, which was related to my previous job. But essentially the Scrum team's purpose was to drive SEO and organic traffic to the website initially. So at the time I was an SEO executive, and I saw the opportunity to become a senior analyst. And at that time I'd already had a bit of exposure to data. I was by no means a full-fledged analyst at the time, but I had exposure to Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, and creating basic reports. So I thought it was something that definitely piqued my interest, and a career path that I definitely wanted to go down at the time. So I applied for the role, I did the interview and managed to get the job. And because it was an internal hire, I already worked at the company, it just made things a lot more simple and straightforward. And I didn't have to prove myself as much because the people who were hiring me, someone had already had some extent as to what level of knowledge and experience I had within the analytics space. So that's what really kickstarted off my career. And while I was there as a senior analyst, I learnt loads. I had a fantastic manager. I had multiple managers while I was there. But I had one who was the conversion rate analytics manager at the time, and she really encouraged me a lot. And in our one-to-ones, she gave me a lot of encouragement, and I also could lean on her and other members of the analytics team for questions and for learning things that I typically wouldn't have known myself. So I think when you're starting out as an analyst, it's really important that you have a good learning infrastructure there and a good team to work with, because I've seen in my own experience and in my current role now, where when you don't have other analysts to be able to bounce ideas off and problems on, it really makes the job a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable as well, because you have people to learn from and people who speak the same language as you, which is great. So that's kind of how, in a brief summary, how I started my career. And then from there, I've done two more roles, one which is my current role now. And after my first job as an analyst, I went on to be a lead analyst for a huge DIY firm in the UK. And this is where I really managed to excel my analytics experience and knowledge. So previously, in my role before, I was a senior digital analyst, but I specialized in just one area, which was conversion. So I look into any way to improve conversion on the website and reporting on changes to the website that had impacted SEO or had impacted conversion. But when I moved on to being a lead analyst, I was essentially looking after every single area of digital analytics. So I went from only working with my Scrum team and digital operations to working with digital marketing, digital operations, digital product, digital trading, every single touch point, the buying teams, everyone who interacted with digital, I was their go-to for data and analytics, which really broadened my scope and my knowledge of the digital analytics space and the analytics space in general, really. But that was groundbreaking experience for me, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am now without that. And this brings me on to my current role, which is as a data analytics manager. So after being a lead analyst, I'm pretty sure I now moved on to being a data analytics manager at my current place of employment. So what is kind of involved? So what do I do? I guess my day to day. So as the data analytics manager, my roles are, well, my responsibility is predominantly with digital. But when we first started out, it was quite scoped that I would look after the digital and customer analytics side of things. So I've done management of the analysis function for the digital and customer side. And it's worth noting, while at the moment the function was just myself, and I knew that I would be getting into that. But I also saw it as a huge learning curve because, for one, I'd never had an exposure to customer analytics, and whereas I know that I'd know how to be able to manipulate the data, and I knew it was something that I could learn on the job, and I also had the tools that my sales lad kind of needed to be able to do it. It was quite exciting for me because it's a new learning opportunity. So I've been looking after digital and customer analytics while I've been there for the most part. And in that time, we created some really good stuff on both sides. So most of my work has been on the digital side. So when we've been doing reporting for digital marketing and reporting for digital product for new releases that happen to the website, reporting with digital trading. And then on the customer side, which was very much at its infancy at the company, created a customer insights dashboard, which looked into the customer lifetime value, the repeat rate, lifespan, and just give us a really good overview of our customers. And we've done that in phase one. And we also started to look into omni-channel reporting as well, and omni-channel ROI reporting. So it's essentially looking at the both channel touch points, trying to make an ROI figure from that. So we looked at people who we sent an email to within the past certain period, and then how many of those people actually then go make a purchase in store. And we use specific data to be able to tie that up. And from that, we can calculate email-assisted revenue to our stores, which is quite valuable because the stores are of significant importance to that business. So I've talked you through what I did in the past and kind of what I do currently as a data analytics manager in my role. But I think it's quite important to also tell you about the process of me landing this job. So because of my previous job where I worked as a lead analyst and the exposure that gave me to be able to understand every single digital touch point, providing data for across functions, but also being able to create an analytics strategy and a roadmap and keeping stakeholders updated and informed was very, very crucial to me landing this job. And if I hadn't had that experience, I probably wouldn't have got it. But what I learned in the job before I became data analytics manager was to not only be able to provide analytics and reports for every single area in digital, but also to define a strategy, present it to very senior level stakeholders, direct status and potentially and above as well, and bring them on board to the roadmap and tell them that these are the things that we want to deliver, make sure the stakeholders are happy with it, and continue working towards that. And that's skills that I've brought onto my existing role, where I'll give monthly updates on these are the things that we're working on analytics, this is when we expect to have it delivered, and we make sure that everyone's happy with all the things that we're working on essentially. During the interview process, they made it quite clear that they were looking for someone with the digital side of things and also customer. And what was quite interesting is that when I initially applied for the role, they were only looking for a digital insights manager, but they then redefined it to be a data and analytics manager. And they wanted to go from just looking after the digital side of things to also looking after customer analytics as well, and then with the potential to broaden the scope even further. And with me having that experience with the digital analytics side of things and having enough foundational knowledge in analytics to be able to look into other areas such as customer analytics, that made the case for me having this role even more robust. So during the interview process, I was given a task where I was supposed to create a CRM analytics dashboard. So because I wasn't provided with any data, I essentially used Kaggle to get myself a sample data set of CRM data. Then I used the Google Data Studio dashboards to essentially build what I thought would look like a CRM performance dashboard. So it looked at the number of emails sent, the open rates, delivery rates, and all the kind of key KPIs that you'd expect to be seen in that kind of dashboard. And whereas it looked like I made it look quite presentable, I feel like that definitely helped my case during the interview process as well. So some of you may be wondering, what is the difference between a data analyst and a data analytics manager? And typically a data analyst will be there to provide the business with the information and the insights that they require, whereas data analytics manager will typically manage a team of data analysts, but also have very strong connections to senior levels of the business that can tend to be from the CEO to the directors and other stakeholders on that similar level. And the data analytics manager will look at not just the reporting side of things and insights, but also creating a strategy for the business and a roadmap and taking the business on a journey with data. So whereas the data analyst is more hands-on and more about doing the work that is required from the business, the data analytics manager will look into, or what does the business actually need, what's the direction that I want to take data analytics in this company, and what are the gaps we're currently missing, and provide a roadmap and keep the stakeholders informed as a result. Great, so I hope you've all found this video useful on how I became a data analytics manager. If any of you have any questions on my journey, or if there's any other video topics that you'd like me to uncover, or anything more that you'd like to learn, and feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you on my next video.